she's going to be here with us also to speak to us on her journey. We also have Chuendweke. Chuendweke is Chuendweke is an agripreneur, the founder, Healthy Life Care Initiative. So he's a medical doctor, and he's here with us and going to speak to us, you know. So his profile here, he's a Chelsea fan. I don't know how to feel about that, though. I don't support Chelsea. We also have Ifeanyi with us, Ifeanyi Ohanyeresa. You're welcome, sir. So he's programs coordinator, student energy. So he's someone that is globally recognized. So he's going to be with us this afternoon as we go on with this session. So like I said before, Toby is going to be our moderator, and this session is going to be as exciting, as informative, and as it has been since we started by 10 o'clock. Thank you very much, and we hope that you stay back for the next 1 hour. Toby, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Mona, and thank you, everyone. I've enjoyed being a silent participator or participant. But yeah, it's my time to talk. I refer to myself as Nascent's resident noisemaker, right? So it's time for me to make noise.
You're welcome.
And there's nothing I love more than having conversations. And trust me, this is going to be one interesting conversation because we've listened to Dr. Chineye talk about career initially, but now we're going to delve into transitions. So you're into one place, you're thinking, oh, should I switch from here to the other? Oh, I read medicine, but it's like MC job is calling me, that kind of thing. How do I navigate everything, right? And Mona has introduced all our speakers, and you guys are highly welcome. I stand on existing protocol. So I'll dive into the first question. And since there are 5 panelists and then me, the moderator, we're going to go in this pattern. So the first person to, we're going to go in this order. Ms. Chiwendu first, Dr. Onyekachi second, Ms. Emanuela third, Mr. Ifeanyi fourth, and then Mr. Peter fifth. So some questions will be directed to specifically to any of you. But then if it's a general question, Chiwendu will go first, Onyekachi, Manuela, Ifeanyi, and then Peter in that order. So let's go. So this question, the first one is a general question, right? It's a kind of introductory question for you to introduce yourselves to the audience, and then we kick it off from there. So my first question is, can you share a bit of your background and upbringing in Nigeria and how it's influenced your career choices? So Chiwendu, please, if you would go first and maybe take 2 or 3 minutes to answer, and then the next person and the next person. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's a privilege to be here. So talking about my background and how this influenced my career choice. So basically I had 2 things I wanted to become as a child, and for some funny reason, the first is to be a teacher and the second was to be a farmer. So when I got into secondary school, like, oh, I was good in science subjects like STEM courses. I said to go into science class. When I wanted to get admission into the university, I told my dad that I wanted to study agriculture. And my father told me something. He said, if you want to study agriculture, why should I pay for it? I'll take you to the village and give you a plot of land, and you will learn agriculture for free. So I knew it was like a no-go area. So I went for the next best thing I wanted. It was something relating to oil and gas. So I studied geology. But somewhere along the line, while I was in school, I knew I was going to do agriculture, but I did not know how I was going to get there. Then life happened. I was posted to the farm, and I just knew it was the best platform for me. I I've also had opportunities to go back into the oil and gas sector. I got scholarship into IPS and UNESCO. I turned that down because I knew it was actually a very tough decision, but I knew I had something I was passionate about, and life had given me a second chance to study it, and it would have been unfair for me not to take that chance, and I took it, and I don't think I'm regretting it. So my background kind of wanted to deter me from what I wanted, what I actually wanted to be, but somehow I still found myself there.
Okay, that's very interesting. I wish I'll have a daughter that will say she wants to do agriculture. I swear, free food forever. I love it. Well done, Chiwendu. So on to our next speaker, panelist, sorry. So a little bit of your background and how it influenced your career choices. Your career choice. This is for Dr. Onyekachi.
Thank you very much, Nascent, first of all, for inviting me to be part of this panel. When I was in secondary school, I always said I wanted to be a good manager of resources. Because at that point, SS1, SS2, you start thinking about what area do you want to go into, especially at the end of your SS1. So and nobody was clear about what that meant. What do you mean a good manager of resources? And I would not call any course. They will ask me economics, they will ask me accounting. I said I just wanted to be a good manager of resources. And so I moved into the university. I studied cooperative economics and management at Nnamdi Azikiwe University. And so when I was done, I had a good grade. So I was retained in the university as a graduate assistant when I was done with my youth service. And then, you know, the kind of thing you see that everybody expects you just stay within the confines of that area and grow to become perhaps a professor or get to the apex of that profession. I stayed there for 11 years teaching at the Department of Cooperative Economics and Management. But at some point, I had to leave. That was in 2019. I went to the industry to do the actual management of resources by myself, which was the passion I had years back. Yeah, teaching was also my passion because I discovered at that point when teachers were not available in classes when we were in secondary school, we had interactions which I led. And so trying to impact on others and improve knowledge while I was impacting, I was also getting from it. And so in 2019, I joined Connected Development and started engagement around good governance, advocacy for transparency and accountability in management of public resources, as well as spending from the government spectrum. And so I did that for a while. And then at some point, I got tired of how things were happening. I said to myself, the world is my marketplace. I can't just be confined within the confines of a particular country because of where I found myself originally, where I was born. So I decided to explore the world. So I moved out. I had done my master's, done my PhD, and then I left the country to do another master's program in project management. And I did that for 1 year, then took a job in project management again, started. So it's been a blend of do the industry thing and then do your teaching. And ultimately, the doors started saying, we are open unto you again, come back to the academia. So I've been switching from academia to project management in the industry, and I'm back again in academia. I took a job recently at the University of Bedfordshire, where I'm still teaching project management. So yeah, moved from here to there and again navigating here and there. That has been a short story about how I've moved from there. Well, if I had time, I could have gone into the more details, but of course, we have other people who will share and inspire you about their own stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Onyekachi. I love it. Manager of assets and resources. I'll be using it so that I'll confuse people. They won't know what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, I want to be a manager of assets and resources. All right, Miss Emanuela, can you share a bit of your background with us and how it's influenced your career choice or choices if you've transitioned from one to another?
Yes, please. Good afternoon. Please confirm you can hear me.
I can hear you and I love your voice.
Thank
Continue.
you. All right. So my background, uh, okay. So first of all, I'm an animal nutritionist turned software engineer and project manager. But does my background have anything to do with it? Yes, solely because first of all, I was given the opportunity by my parents to actually make a choice of my own. No one like said you must do this, you must do that. But they were all there too. I mean, as at then, I know I was saying, okay, should I do industrial chemistry? Should I do this? Should I do this? For everything I for every question I had, I'm like, what's industrial chemistry about? What is there? They were always there to answer my questions. So eventually I settled, okay, you know what? The regular medicine, this, that. Well, I didn't study medicine eventually. Long story short, I studied animal nutrition and I felt so much in love with it that I actually wanted to do a master's. However, I had started transitioning into tech right before just when I was graduating. So, and I'm still currently in tech and I still look forward to doing my master's in animal nutrition. But at the same time, I feel that sole thing of my family being there to not nudge me in a particular direction, but basically just provide that support to help me make a decision was very key because it even helped me understand that I can do anything. Right now, I have this belief that I can do anything I put my mind to. If I want to study law today, I know I can study law today. So I feel that's the most important thing in my background that actually brought me to where I am today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Emanuela. I mean, you have a very interesting journey, software engineering, animal nutrition. Let's move over to Mr. Ifeanyi. So, Mr. Ifeanyi, talk to us about your background and how it's influenced your career choice or choices.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's nice to be here. Thank you, Nascent, for inviting me. So my career is quite dynamic. I've been almost everywhere. I studied mechanical engineering. I did engineering for a while, jumped into finance, jumped into consulting, and now I'm in project management. So what's influenced my career? I come from a riverine community, so I've always been concerned about like climate change because I see firsthand the impacts of flooding and yeah. Then for my professional career, I started off as a mechanical engineer. I studied mechanical engineering, but this was largely due to the influence of those around me thinking, okay, the traditional way you see someone's grades and you feel like, okay, this person would best fit here, or this person would be best fit there. And so I went through my first degree, largely not knowing what exactly where exactly I would fit in. Like engineering is quite broad, mechanical engineering is quite broad, but where exactly? But then my final year was where I had like my eureka moment because I took a course in renewable energy conversion and my eyes opened to the energy space and I saw that this was something I really wanted to like build a career out of. But then the realities of Nigeria, I studied in Ghana, the reality of Nigeria hit me when I came out and then found it difficult getting a job. So I finally got a job working in financial services. And then I was thinking of how to break out to return back to my space. And that has kind of like taken me along different areas. Perhaps when we continue speaking, I can shed more light on this. But my career has been influenced by basically my family, the pressure of you have to study like a good course, Also, the fact that environment is very key, and also the fact that due to socioeconomic factors, one may need to adjust at certain times to ensure that they keep body and soul together. So I'll leave it here for now, but later on we can speak more on this. Thank you.
Of course, we're going to speak more on this later because your journey is quite interesting. You've moved around everywhere. But let's hear from Mr. Peter, our last panelist. Hi, Mr. Peter. Can you tell us about your background and how it's influenced your career choices? Mr. Peter, you're muted. I see you're trying to speak.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Well, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good day. And I'd like to appreciate Nascent for inviting me here. I'd also like to seek your permission to close my video because of the network so that I can get better reception.
Yeah, sure, you can do that.
Okay. All right. So I'm a medical doctor. I'm also a public health enthusiast and a liver health advocate. So it seems like everything I've just said is related, but it didn't start out like this. I grew up in a suburban area in north central Nigeria. Not to, I won't call my family a humble, a humble family or like a humble background. But you know that growing up, I witnessed that the jam butter disappeared from the table. Somehow the number of meats that we eat also disappeared. However, there's one thing that was really, really important to the family, and that was education. So regardless, they found a way to put us in the best schools that they could afford. I'm referring to my parents. So I went to the best schools that they could afford at the time, and that kind of influenced my thinking and gave me very good exposure. So the first thing, I wanted to become a number of things. I wanted to study a number of things. One of the first was being an accountant, and that was because my father is an accountant. So I was very close to my father. Oh, I am very close to my father. So I just wanted to be like him, including what he is. However, growing up, it changed. It became that I wanted to become a lawyer, and that was because my father works. He works in a law firm. Let me put it that way. So I follow him to work, and I see the lawyers. I see the senior advocates of Nigeria. I see them with their wigs and their very nice cars, and I really admire them. I wanted to become a lawyer. However, going into secondary school, I think I began to like the computers, and I was like, okay, let me become a software programmer like Emanuela. I still admire God, but somehow that didn't happen. And then getting into like senior secondary school, SS1 going to SS2, something happened. The vice principal academics called me one time, and she kind of asked, she said, have you considered medicine? Based on the qualities and things that she saw, she said, it looks like I'm going to do very well there. Now, I don't know if she was saying that because I was a good student. I mean, I was in science class and doing very well. I don't know if she said that because of that or because she actually saw something. However, what I'm sure of is that those her words put the passion. I don't know if the passion was also there, but it made passion begin to grow. And it so happened that I applied and I got into the University of Jos. However, in my first year, I will quickly, in my first year, something happened. For those of you who are familiar with Jos, it's a very volatile city. We used to have a lot of crises and attacks. My very first year, I was on my way to the Terminus Central Market, and 2 minutes away from arriving at the destination, there was a bomb blast explosion, and that went down in history as the deadliest bomb blast in history. So I was just maybe 1 to 2 minutes away from that place. And it affected, I was in a tricycle, the keke napep. It affected the vehicle, just trying to struggle to find a place to hide. However, I saw a lot of things. I saw a lot of people with missing body parts, crying. People, in fact, some were even dead. Sorry But that experience, even though I was already in my first year of medical school, the experience nudged the passion to become a more skillful medical practitioner. And then eventually I graduated and in the practice. So this is just a summary. Other experiences happened, while in school, but that was like the basis. So thank you.
Wow. Okay, your story is so packed. But then when you mention bomb blast, the Nigerian in me shouted blood of Jesus. But anyway, thank you so much, Mr. Peter, for sharing your story and your background with us. I know people did not ask, but I'll share my own. Because I'm the moderator. So I studied geology, and how I ended up studying geology is a very bizarre story. I had a geography teacher in school that would not teach anything. This man would miss his periods. We'll be calling him, he said we should leave him alone. That geography is not a difficult course. That in fact, geography students are not supposed to be learning, that we are special. When he even manages to come to class, he'll be gisting us. I was a lazy student, and I decided, oh, if this is what this course is all about, just don't do anything, just be lazy. And at the end, you get your scores, then please sign me up. So we're about to fill jam form, and I saw geology somewhere in that big jam book. I'm like, please, it's like geology is the university name for geography. Sign me up. I'm doing. Only for me to get there, and that was not it. I had to work hard. But yeah, people get into different careers for different reasons. So many things may have influenced or pushed them to do that. So many people would have also switched for different reasons. And we're here to talk about we're here to talk about those different transitions in careers. My next question is actually for Mr. Ifani, who actually got into the finance sector because there was no job, right? We have cases of people that studied one course in university, they came out, no job, and then they just have to take whatever is available, right? And before you know it, they've switched into a different career and they are doing something else. So Mr. Ifeanyi, you said put body and soul together in your own words, some of the things that influenced you. So for people that are currently out of school or in one career path, but it's not moving forward or they've not been able to get jobs, do you advise they switch to whatever is available? Dr. Chinenye also mentioned apprenticeship. So do you advise, okay, if no formal work or job is coming, maybe learn something or do something? Or how do you advise them to navigate that whole period of, oh, I'm looking for a job and nothing is coming in my chosen field, and it's what I love?
Okay, that's a very important question, and thank you very much for that. So my story, back to my story. After 2 years of searching for a job, I finished my bachelor's in 2014, served 2015. From 2015, I started looking for a job in an energy company. I got one, but it was in the Northeast, and that was the peak of Boko Haram issues. So I could not go. I had to turn down that offer with so much pain in my heart. So as I continued searching for jobs, at some point I got kind of fed up and I expanded the search net, started applying for jobs outside my field of competence, and I started applying to banks. And then I got a bank job. I had to do it because, of course, you have to keep body and soul together, as I mentioned earlier. But from the day one that I stepped into the bank, I had a big concern, and the concern was, I am an engineer by training. The job market is already saturated. By virtue of being here, I have two options. It's either I start planning for my return, my big return, or I switch. So what do I do? And from the day one, I had it in mind that I was going to return. So what I did was I started upskilling myself while I was in the bank. the first person to get into the bank, the last person to leave. What was I doing during these hours? I was learning, doing online courses, learning as much as I could so that I remained relevant to my field. The second thing I did was I looked for the areas of interconnection. So I'm just going to give the SDGs as an example. If you look at the SDGs, there are about 17 of them, but you find out that there are SDGs that are interlinked. You cannot talk about global poverty. You can't talk about no poverty without talking about economic empowerment and economic growth. So you see the interlinkages. So what I did was I started looking for the interlinkages between my area of competence, my area of interest, and where I was. Area of competence being engineering, area of interest being climate change, where I was being finance. So what connects the three of these? What connects them? And that is where sustainability comes in, because sustainability has to do with finance, sustainability has to do with climate change, even engineering or energy has also sustainability issues around it. So I started to learn about sustainability. And what I did next was I started volunteering with organizations that were promoting sustainability in Nigeria. I started attending conferences that were focused on sustainability and all of that, and building my network in that space and telling my story too. Because when I attend conference, I tell them that, look, I am the accidental finance person. I actually want to study engineering, but because of my situation, I found myself in the bank. Sometimes I get really helpful feedback from professionals in the space, showing me opportunities I can apply for. But what I did, which I think got me the most advancement, was that I took an initiative in the bank where I was. I wrote a sustainability proposal to the management of that bank. And what I did was basically telling them what I was seeing from my viewpoint based on my learnings and what could be done. And I wrote that proposal, so sent it to the management, and they loved it. Some of what I talked about being implemented. And then I used that and employed the power of storytelling. So that became my story. In whatever application I was making, I was still applying, like, to get back to school for programs to advance myself. So anything I was applying for, I tell my story perfectly, talk about what I've done, talk about my interests, talk about, like, the global situation, the global conversations, and where I fit in, what I can do based on what I know. And by this, I was able to leave the bank and return for a master's degree back in engineering. I studied renewable energy technology. I got a scholarship to study in Ghana, funded by the World Bank, to study renewable energy technologies. Because I've already gotten into the finance space, and I'm now thinking along the lines of intersections. I also considered doing an MBA program because it opens me up to different opportunities. I got a fully funded scholarship to study for my MBA program. Based on that as well, and all the considerations, I got my current job, which I'm doing with Student Energy, which is basically focused on project management, empowering young people who are looking to break into the energy space and build a career that advances the energy transition. So this is how I was able to use that situation, that uncomfortable situation where I found myself, to leverage the opportunities that existed, and kind of found my way back to where I want to be. So my advice to you is, wherever you find yourself, it may be that because of the Nigerian situation, because of the peculiarities of where you find yourself, it's quite difficult to get what you want. However, that shouldn't stop you. You can be where you are temporarily. So I never for one second found myself comfortable where I was. When people are, like, relaxing, I was doing what, if I was planning my escape, let me put it that way. I was actively plotting my escape from day one. And yeah, that ultimately built me up. I also took some skills from there which are relevant in my where I find myself today. So wherever you find yourself, I think what you can do is look out for the opportunities, do a proper analysis of yourself, like a self-SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, what opportunities exist there, what threats. I knew my threats. The threat was if I continued like in that space doing absolutely nothing, I'll find it very difficult to introduce myself as an engineer in 2-3 years' time. And that helped me to take the decisions that I took that got me where I am today. I hope
Thank
this helps.
you,
Thank you.
Mr. Ifeanyi. I know what's happening here. The people in your mentorship class, it's like you people did not finish. You're not continuing here, but thank you. Thank you for sharing every bit of that with us. Your story was inspiring. It is the kind of story that you listen to and you say, God, when? Or they'll look at you and say, I want to be like you when I grow up. But anyway, thank you for sharing that. And the advice is very profound. Sorry. My next question is for Dr. Onyekachi, the manager of assets and resources, right? So my question for you, sir, is in the Nigerian context, right? How do you set and adjust career goals to ensure growth and satisfaction, right? Because like you said, when you say you want to manage resources, people are like, is it accounting, is it economics, is it what? But with that goal, you've been able to meander through different career paths and still maintain that authenticity of what you want to do. You've gone to academia, gone into the industry. So how do you set and adjust goals like that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Toby. For me, I think it's imperative everyone gets to understand whom they are. So the big question you should ask yourself is, who are you? If you're able to answer that question succinctly and you understand the personality that you have, you'll be able to know what interests you and be able to understand your strengths and weaknesses. And so you just move there. So just like Ifeanyi said, there are things that you have been in, and then you suddenly discover that, or well, you've always known that this is something that you want to move out from to explore some other stuff. What is imperative for you is to start setting that goal of how you are going to exit. But first of all, primarily, you need to know what works best for you. While I was doing this, just thinking around coming here, I put 1 or 2 slides together so that we can talk about this. So I said to myself, who are you? What is your background? What are your experiences and your skills? What qualifications do you have? What interests you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So in all of this, it will help you to understand that personality which you assume and be able to set your clear goals. This is what I want to achieve. If you are not saying when, then something is wrong with that goal you have set for yourself. So you are saying in 2 years, in 3 years, I want to do this. One of the panelists, it's a software engineer also, yeah. And that tells you that as a software engineer, are you where you want to be? Is it what you are designing at that moment that you want to be doing? Because I had a mentee who did software engineering. And at some point, this person was my student at Nnamdi Azikiwe University and studied cooperative economics and management. But once she graduated, she left and moved into the industry and started learning new things about how to be a different person. And I will say, how you tell your story matters. So she started learning a lot of things related to software designing. And to my greatest surprise, she's working in the UK and resident in Nigeria. With that means generating a lot of resources in high currency and spending it in Nigeria. You can imagine what that means. And then when you look at all of these areas I've highlighted, what's your background really? Did it influence anything? What are your experiences in life that aside your professional experience? What skills do you have? And so being able to gain new skills and develop yourself would easily allow you to move to another field of your interest. Your qualifications may matter, but at some point it may not be relevant. In the world now, we are looking at what are your competencies, what are your skills, and what interests do you have. Just before I wrap up this question, I'll quickly take you to a pitch. This is someone who is pitching something to people, telling about himself or herself. And I'll just ask a question afterwards. I am an industrious and experienced nutritionist with over 5 years of experience in supporting households and industries to improve their health and well-being by providing services and advocacy that ensure a paradigm shift from consumption of over 80% of carbohydrates to food richer in vitamins and minerals found in fruits and vegetables. My work has significantly reduced health-related complications by 15% with a reach of 162,000 people. So the question is, this pitch, who exactly is presenting it? Who is this person? And the next slide may answer it. What if it's a tomato seller that has presented this? What does it mean? You are industrious. Nobody should contend that with you. It's about you. It's your experience. Your nutrition is because you are making advocacy and you are using your tomato cells to tell people about the importance of nutrition and how they can consume more fruits and vitamins, as well as making services to them. And you've estimated how many people who have either you've spoken to or you have sold your commodity to. And then what implications it has on the health of people and how it has reduced health complications. I mean, this is your story. It's about you telling it. So when you want to switch from that place where you used to be to another area, it's all about how you present yourself and how you're able to tell your story by yourself, because nobody's telling that story. You are the one doing the story. And then those skills that you have got, most times we give ourselves less credit than we should actually give ourselves. So, but then switching that opportunity, switching to a new role, it's a platform for you to absolutely sell yourself to the world to be able to move to where you are. Now, what I will also advise is that we may have found ourselves in an environment where perhaps the jobs are not existing. But if you classify yourself to be someone who would, perhaps you are in Ibadan and you are an Ibadan champion, you stay within Ibadan and that's it. If you are a Nigerian person, okay, you just stay in Nigeria and perhaps you could get a job in Lagos, get a job in Abuja, and that's it. But then you can also stay in Nigeria and look out for things even in Canada, in US, in UK, in any part of the world, because you are not just confined within your local environment. So you can't say there is no job. It just means you've not worked hard enough. If you work hard enough, the world should be able to see you and do the kind of work you do. That also takes us to having the transferable skills that can enable you to move from one platform to another. So even if you are moving from Nigeria to Ghana to Kenya to any part of the world, those skills are there. As a software engineer, anywhere in the world you are accepted. As a doctor, these are panel members we have here, right? As engineer, you can always sell yourself in any part of the world. So my advice generally is, as you advance those skills, also open yourself up to opportunities around the globe, because within your immediate environment, those things which you aspire and desire may not be available. But if you extend a little bit more and widen your horizon of search, and you are hardworking and resilient, absolutely you will be able to set those goals effectively and achieve them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. again, the extension of your mentorship. I love it. Like the slides you shared with us. And to the audience, I don't need to tell you people to jot things down. Hope you're jotting things down. If you are, can I get an emoji or something? Okay, as you guys are doing that, is someone saying something? Okay, right. So to the next question, my next question is for Emanuela. So, ma'am, you've mentioned that transitioning from animal nutrition to software engineering. Yes, so your parents were supportive and all that. But I want to ask, sorry, what are other dynamics, other mindset shifts that helped you to properly navigate the transition? Because I mean, you still love animal nutrition. Yes, you got into tech space while you were still in school, but what are the other factors that helped you to decide, okay, I really want to go into this, or I want to move into this properly and all that? Apart from your family being supportive, what other dynamics helped with that?
All right. So, like a couple of them, apart from the family support I mentioned earlier, yeah, for the transitioning. So I mentioned earlier that I started transitioning like towards the end of university. That was majorly. So first of all, I had this mindset in school. Like in my final year, I said, I'm not going to come out of this university and be idle for a second. I'm not going to come out and just sit at home. I'm going to go out, and that'll be it. I'll just go into the world and make my impact and all of that. So I started, looking for jobs. But apart from looking for jobs while I was still in school, so there's this friend of mine who is so versatile in software engineering, basically anything computers, both the hardware and the software. So versatile. So there's my classmate and I literally just got this guy to begin to teach us. In fact, we started from things as little as Word. As at then, I was designing exercise books and stuff with Microsoft Word, just Microsoft Word. I knew, okay, that, yeah, I like computers. I like what I can do with them. But as at then, I didn't really know the difference in, software, hardware, and all. But that's training that I decided to take on with that guy really opened my eyes. Then one day I was speaking with a lecturer, who was a lecturer in Nnamdi Azikiwe University then. I was speaking with him and he said, how about software engineering? I'm like, okay. So I didn't really think much of it, but at the same time, so what's the major thing for me is connection, because not now by connection, I don't mean the Nigerian context of you should know someone that knows someone that no, not that kind of connection. The connection I mean is actually putting yourself at maybe things like events or speaking, like opening your mouth. You know, when they say a closed mouth is a closed destiny. Yeah. Opening your mouth, speak to people, let them know, oh, I'm interested in this, because eventually where I started really transitioning, apart from my training with that guy, was after school. My sister and her friend were just speaking, and I hear the conversation. He's into software engineering too, and he was speaking with her that, oh, okay, he wants to help this. I just chipped in. I said, oh, please, can you also teach me? He started from there. Like, he started sending me lots of videos, I literally, no one starts learning software engineering these days with languages like C or Java. People start with like Python. This guy bombarded me with videos, C, C++, Java. These are languages that are kind of old. So not a lot of people like to do them now. But I started with that. And that's because I actually opened my mind, I actually made my interest known that this is what I want to do. Can you help me? Can you put me through? Now, not only did he bombard me with these videos, but he also it was through him I got my first link to an actual institution because it was like a partnership with Microsoft where I now fully learned, at least like had a time on my own. So they like put us in a place, they will provide everything, internet and everything, and you just learn. So that was where I had the opportunity. So one, I would say connection, apart from the family support. Then the next is connection, being able to market yourself. You don't even need to speak so much, just make your interest known. That's one. Secondly, please love what you do. Love what you do. I know one of the panelists said, that he was in the bank, then he started planning his exit. That is perfect because he knew at that moment that this is not what I wanted to do, So he started planning his exit. So you need to actually love what you do to be able to, if you're transitioning to something for the money, it's okay. It's great actually, because not in this economy. Everyone needs to actually, focus and get their money right and all of that. But at the same time, you should plan it in such a way that you don't go in and run back out. For example, software engineering. If you're coming to software engineering, basically for the money, I don't mean data analysis or the rest of them. I mean actual software engineering, coding. You should have a lot of patience. You should know that, when they say there are good days and bad days, there are good days and bad days actually. So if you're not ready to take on that challenge, that pressure, you would run immediately after transitioning. So this is what I feel also impacted my transition. One is the speaking up, and two is knowing that I need to give it my all. I need to actually love what I want to transition to. So apart from the fact that tech pays well, do I actually like it so that, like, if something comes up, will it push me out the door, or will I remain in that kitchen with the heat? Thank you.
Thank you, Emanuela. Again, I don't need to remind the people to jot things down because, anyway, let me not talk too much, but this session is actually power-packed. I learned a lot. A closed mouth is a closed destiny. Talk. Say you have mentors here. Somebody dropped their number. Have you taken the number? Their emails are everywhere. We sent documents of like their social media handles. You can reach out, ask questions, start getting to know things about what people are doing and what you're interested in. Let's not waste time with that. You can do that at your own free time. My next question is for Chiwendu, and it's I would say it's the other side of the coin of Emanuela's question. So for Chiwendu, you told your dad you wanted to do agriculture, and he said, why do I need to send you to school? People go to the farm and go and learn, right? And that on its own, it's not like a parent not being supportive. It's just like, oh, this is a cheaper alternative. But we've seen cases where parents are not supportive of their children's careers. You've seen people say, oh, I did law because of my dad, or I did medicine for you. There's even this film I watched that the guy was like, oh, mom, I did law for you. Let me go and do banking that I want to do. So people that transition because of that, initially they did something they did not like. Now they want to go into what they like or they think they want to do now. And the background being that, this new path they are going into, there is not a lot of support. What advice do you give? Even if it's not parental support, maybe there's not even financial support. You want to do aeronautical engineering, they're not doing it in Nigeria anywhere. How do you transition into a career path that there's not a lot of support in?
All right, thank you very much. So for me, what stood out for me was the aspect of me really knowing what I wanted. Yeah. So after I was done with school, graduated with a 2-1, very good. I had all my parents telling me, oh, you need to get a job in an oil and gas firm. Oh, there's a community slot in the village and they're giving jobs to people in this sector, won't you have it? And I just knew somewhere along the line that to me, purpose is actually a big deal for me. So I knew if I had gone there, it doesn't mean now, most people get it wrong. They feel like, oh, if I do this particular thing my parents want me to do, I might not be successful. And actually, it's not true. You can still do those courses and still be successful, but will you feel as if you actually achieved purpose? So for me, I was actually big on purpose. I knew if I had gone into the oil and gas sector, I definitely would have gotten it. I went to actually test that. So last 2 years, I applied for a scholarship with IPS, and I went through the whole series of exam and interview. And when the list came out, I was second on the list. And it felt like I was going through another cycle of having to battle with my parents, because going through that scholarship program, once I come out, I am given a direct placement in total. I'm given a direct placement in total.
Hi, Chiwendu, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. So I was given a direct placement in total. So, and every single day, my dad would come and be like, "Are you sure you don't want to do this stuff? Are you really sure you don't want to do this stuff?" Somewhere I had to sit down and I asked myself, you have two very amazing options, because I started my company in 2019. I had employed over 40 persons as of then. I was actually still doing okay and good. I was getting international recognition. But then my people felt like that was more stable. You know how it feels like your parents, there's a kind of mentality they have about having a white collar job. You wake up in the morning, not knowing that even as an entrepreneur, you actually even burn more time in a company than people who actually are working for companies. So I just decided that this is what I wanted to do. I looked at it in all possible angles, the lives I was affecting, the impact I was making, because my impact had gone as much as 5,000 smallholder farmers. And I was like, if should I drop this to go back to sitting inside uh, an office? If I take this, it looks like it's stable, but is that really what I want to do? So most times it's just you really pushing for what you know you want. Push through it, push through it. It might not really, you at some point, at the beginning of the whole push, it might look like you're not getting the support. But believe me, just as how there's always a break-even point for companies and businesses where you might have a business and you're not making profit, or you're not making profit as much as you want to. Then at some point you start making profit and it looks like everybody's all around you. At that point where you've actually gone past that posture of pushing, and it looks like, oh, you're not getting a hang of everything around you, these same persons will come back to support you. Sometimes it's just that they don't have prior information, they don't have the understanding. So currently, I don't even fault my parents, because they would only work with what they know. They are working with what they know. I can't fault them and say, oh, because you should have done better, you should have done this. No, I don't do that, because I know as parents, they want the best for you. As your family members, they want the best for you. And they're only giving you advice based on what they feel is best for you. But you, for yourself, you should be able to checkmate what you want. Now, you should be very strong with your decision. So, because there's something with opportunity cost. When you pick one over the other, you should be able to test it, because it won't always go smooth. So because at some point in my business, I went bankrupt. I went from millions to zero. I had backlogs of salaries to pay. I had loans to pay to the bank. At that point, if I wasn't strong on my decision, I would have chickened out. I'd have been like, oh, now I see the reason why my father wanted me to take a job. I shouldn't have been going through all the stress. It took me 1 year to bounce back, but when I did, I bounced back better. So if you're in the situation where you feel like, oh, you have to, you're not getting the support, just know that the decision is solely yours. It is solely yours. And when you make that decision, be ready to take whatever comes from it, whatever will come with it. Just be ready to take it, but also just have a success mentality attached to it. If you're in between and you feel like, oh, I've taken the decision, but if something happened, I should have a rope so that I can step back into this, you wouldn't give it your all, and it's actually bound to fail. So if you're going to take that decision and you're going to be like, I don't have the support, but this is what I really want, be sure to know that you will stick to it. Now, for balance sake, I would also say this. There are some decisions you are going to that you will feel like you're taking that are totally useless. So I'll give you an example. I once had somebody who I was mentoring, and he wanted to be a musician. And he studied accounting, yeah. And he was quite good in accounting. And he would always have issues with his family telling him, oh, you can't be a musician, you can't be this, you can't be that. So I called him one day and I was like, it looks like your family are against your music career. But really, do you really think you have what it takes to pull through the face till you are actually that big? Okay, let's assume you believe in yourself and in your dream. Sometimes you might have to do a little bit of something else to be able to achieve your dream. You're flat broke. You've not made headway. You've been on this music journey for 4 years. You've not gotten any deal. You can't even sponsor a recording session for yourself. Why not get a job? Why not work at it? Make a plan, then transition. So for us, we had it lucky. We were lucky enough to transition. Life gave us instances for us to transition that easily. For some of you, it might not be that easy. For some of you, you would have to go the other way around first before you can take the right turn. But basically, it's just planning. So it's just for balance sake. So you don't come and say, oh, I'm out of school now. I studied this. I can get a job in this company, but this is my passion. And you don't have enough money to fund your passion. You don't have enough resources. You don't have enough connection. You're bound to be frustrated. So sometimes you would go the left turn, make plans, work at it to be able to take the right turn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chiwendu. One thing I learned is you need to be able to chest it. Because there have been times when I would ask myself, who sent me? When I find myself in situations and I'm like, nobody sent you. You're the one that decided, Ngwa, chest it. And I keep moving, like you said, and bounce back. And we're currently a little bit behind schedule, but let's not lie, we're all enjoying it, Abby. So I have one question from Dr. Peter, but after that, I'm going to give the audience the room to ask questions to whichever panel they want. If you do not want to come live to ask your question, you can drop it in the comment section. If you want to come live to ask, you can raise your hand and then I'll call on you to unmute yourself to ask your question. All right, so my question to Dr. Peter is, first of all, your story, I didn't even comment on it very well. So you had so many things you wanted to do, a whole lineup of things. Then one day your principal said, go and do medicine, and you listened and you just went to do medicine just like that. I don't know, it's so wild, considering that medicine is this course everybody thinks is so difficult and stuff like that. So my question to you is, as you entered medicine almost blind because you just went in and you finished, what were the challenges? Give us examples of challenges you experienced. If there were some times you were like, in fact, this medicine thing I'm not doing again, that you almost quit but called yourself back. So just share some experiences of challenges you faced while, doing medicine as a career.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I think at some point there was a break. You want me to talk about challenges I faced while going through medicine?
Exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Hello? Sorry, can anyone hear me?
Okay. All right. So like going to the
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if it's on my end or...
Okay, I just saw like a blank page and I was confused. But can every other person hear me?
Yeah, I think they can, so I can hear you.
Okay. So as I was saying, I like to see career transition generally in two ways, like the vertical way and then the horizontal. Most of the panelists have been moving to an entirely new career. But I also want to say career transition can also be like moving in that same career, maybe going to an advanced one or like in a different field. So going through medicine has been really challenging, and for me, one of the most important things to consider is the passion, and then the goals, and then the values, because there are days that you question yourself and you ask yourself, who sent me to this place? Because there's a lot of things that we have to invest, the time, resources, and I mean, everything, every part of you have to invest in it. You don't have time, you miss out a lot of things. First is that you invest most of your, should I say, youth in quotes, because for me, who studied in Nigeria, on your jump form, they say 6.5 years, but I spent almost 9 years studying medicine. So if I didn't have the passion first, or I didn't want to be there, I would have moved into something else. I spent almost 9 years with no fault of mine. I didn't fail any exams. I didn't drop out at any point. I went with my colleagues as at when and passed every exam as at when I was. But due to facts, or due to incidents like the ASU strike, and then I talked about the town that I was in. We used to have a lot of crises, there are a lot of people who changed courses, changed universities, but not because I didn't have the opportunity, but I wanted to do this. So that was one of the challenges, the time that you have to invest. Secondly, there are a lot of things there are a lot of criteria you have to meet to be able to go through this. I was one of the best students, or I finished as the best student from my secondary school, and I thought that medicine, as a smart person, I'll be able to still do well like that. But I realized that there was much more needed than being intelligent or being smart. You needed discipline and consistency. In one of the tests, which I want to talk about now, after writing it, and then so my colleague just called me that you got 13. I said, oh, that must be over 25. I said, no, it's 13 over 100. I could not believe when I said me. That was the one time that I cried in medical school. I cried like a baby. And I didn't call anybody, but I mean, a friend of mine who saw me there just had to console me. So I'm saying it's going to challenge you emotionally, there'll be a lot of emotional challenge. So another thing you need here is the resilience. But I'm saying eventually I finished, and I was happy about the whole thing. So just to share another experience, like a pivotal moment for me that also helped in a bit of my transitioning was in my third year. I lost a cousin to complications of viral hepatitis. And barely a year after that, I lost a physiology lecturer, a doctor also, to liver cancer. So this experience is kind of made me develop a new passion even within the medicine, and that's what led to the opening of the starting of my NGO, Healthy Liver Care Initiative, that aims to promote liver health and prevent liver diseases. Yes, I'm a doctor, but my interest is in liver health. So I believe that people should not die for causes that can be prevented. 9 out of 10 people living with hepatitis don't know that they are living with it. And in Nigeria, that causes over 81,000 deaths every year. So these are things that are 100% preventable. So people should not die for what can be prevented, or go through the pain of losing a loved ones for what should have been prevented. So this is just bits of the challenges I faced, and also my own transitioning journey, which I'm still on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peter. And we're so sorry to hear about the loss of your cousin and lecturer. If you can also drop the name of your NGO with us, because we want to educate ourselves better on health-related issues and stuff. That being said, this has been quite insightful, if I should say so myself. Does anybody have any question for any of the panelists? Anybody at all, you can raise your hands or you can type the question in the comment section. Okay, I'm not seeing any question. It's like so when there are no questions, two things. Either we're all confused, we don't know what's happening, or like we totally got everything and yeah, we're okay. Okay, somebody has a question. Blessing, do you want to ask it in the comment section or you want to unmute yourself to ask? Blessing Akimbelu. Hey, Jesus Christ. Did I get that? I'm so sorry if I spelled your name, but yeah, you can unmute yourself and ask. All right.
Okay, ma. Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon, sir. First of all, I really want to say thank you very much for this opportunity. I've really learned a lot. The question I actually want to ask is a kind of general questions. I feel any of the speaker can actually help, even you as well, ma. I'm currently serving corporal and I'll be through by next month. But before coming for service, I'm sorry I'm saying this. Before coming for service, I was teaching. I had to resign because I felt I'm not really having the time to actually build myself as I actually expect. So now, while as I was about to round up, since I said I was going to finish next month, I did an HRM course, so which means I'm as well certified what's it called, human resource specialist. So now, when you were talking about the transitioning, so my question now is, what would be your advice for someone like me? Currently, now I don't even know what life after service holds for me. Currently, I'm just trying to build up my CV, but I'm still looking at where do I start from? Do I have this exam I did, this HRM course I did? But most of the experience I've had has been in the teaching field, teaching French, training people to do professional exams. But at this point, I am really looking forward to, you know, doing any other thing aside from teaching. So what would be your advice for me?
Yeah, thank you
you very
so
much.
much, Blessing. Who wants to take that? Which of the panelists wants to take that?
Okay. For your
Okay.
next profession phase, I would advise that in as much as money is important, don't put a lot of focus on money. Now try to go for experiences. Now you can decide based on what you want or what path, what trajectory you want to go through. Maybe I don't know what you studied, but let's say you want to go into agriculture, you want to go into HR, try to get an internship. Now, most people will say, oh, I want an internship and I want an internship with this amount of salary. Yeah. The truth about it is, as a new fresh graduate in Nigeria, most of the time we make that mistake of graduating with an empty CV. Now, if you are an undergraduate on this call, I would implore you that you start taking a whole lot, you take volunteering very, very important. Like take volunteering for organizations, just take volunteering very important. So at least when you come out of school, aside from your certifications, you have some soft skills. You have some organizational skills that can actually help you. Now, we know that it's a Nigerian thing that you know what to study that you will later use to get a job. But now, putting yourself in that volunteering arm gives you more options on what path your life might take. Now, that's if you decide that, oh, you want life to be what will decide that for you. But if you're a person that has something you're going for, please go for experiences. Now, I'll give an example. When I graduated in 2016, and I was like, oh, I wanted to go into the oil and gas sector. My first job paid me 15,000 naira. 15,000 naira as a junior geologist. I was going to the field, I was doing sampling, removing cores, doing every single thing, but it was for 15K. And it felt like, oh, that money was really nothing to me, but it added to my experiences. If I wanted to sprout out a career from that, I already have the previous background. Now, people want to go for money first. As a new person, in as much as we say, oh, try your hand, have some side hustles and all that. But as a fresh graduate, please, in as much as you're looking for money, don't make it the center, don't make it the focus, because people will be willing to pitch you more. Like a lot of persons really don't pay interns that much money, especially if you're going to intern for a private firm or a small private firm. Yeah. So please don't look at the money. just go for experiences. First of all, go for experiences. Try to send out a whole lot, do a lot of applications. I would tell people who are mentoring, I'll say, even a blind man, if a blind man is supposed to shoot at a dart and shoots 1,000 times, he must at least hit the dart once, twice, without seeing it. So the truth about it is you would have to put out applications and put out applications, but please don't be focused on the initial stage. That's just my own.
Thank you so much, Wendu. Does any other panelists want to add to that?
Okay, yes. So
Okay.
very quickly, I just want to re-emphasize on the importance of identifying your transferable skills, and then just do like an introspection. And then just think back, what are those skills that you have that you've gotten in school, while volunteering and all that. Yeah. So just you said you were teaching before. Yes, I know you don't want to teach again, but there are probably some things you picked up from teaching. I don't know, communication and all that you could use in another industry. So look inward and then identify those things. When you identify them, you know the next through the other things that I've been talking about, you know the next industry you want to go to. Find like a support network there. Go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook, go on the internet generally, and then when you find it, you can shoot your shots. Join the webinars that particular group, join seminars that that have been organized in that particular industry, and never can tell. It might just be like a starting point for you. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peter. You said shoot your shot. I love it. I love to shoot my shot all the time. As I'll come to all of you's DM. Dr. Peter, starting with you first and your NGO. We're going to talk more about that later. All right, but thank you so much to all the panelists for your profound words, right? I'm sure this session is being recorded, and it's also being live streamed. So we're always going to go back to listen and gain more wisdom from everything you've told us today. We couldn't be more grateful for your time and your for your knowledge, basically. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll hand over to Monachi now to give some announcements and then close the session properly. Thank you for having me.
Hello, everybody. I'm sure we've really enjoyed ourselves and we exceeded by, I think, 20 or 21 minutes. I'm so grateful to God and for the time we've spent. It's very much impactful. So thank you very much. Please, there's a link shared for our feedback form, for the fair feedback form. So you can fill the form to tell us how the event was to you, how you felt, your opinion, how we can improve and how we can make it better. Please do where to fill the form. It means a lot to us. Another one, still in the community hangout 2.0, please. We'd like to meet you on Saturday night, December 12 p.m. at Ikeja. It's going to be fun-filled. Anything fun is going to be there. Please do well to attend. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Toby. Toby, you are so amazing. Thank you so much for this. So it's a very beautiful session. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Anthony, and the rest of the people in the virtual programs. You did a whole lot for us today. Ifejora, Anthony, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you. Amazing. Many people they've been behind the scene, admitting people, doing the room breakouts and everything. Thank you very much. And thank you, members of all the volunteers of Nascent Education and Development Initiative. We hope to see you more during all our outreaches and other events and programs. We'll definitely get back to you all. So to close, I believe there is nothing else. My name is Monachim Suwadumike. Thank you so much for having me here. Have a pleasant weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.